Welcome to the Will Studios. I'm Will, a dude in his basement making his first comic book, Revenent Steel, coming very soon to crowdfunding. Now, I'm not a professional artist, so I'm looking for all the help and advice I can get. Hard Art, I recall, at least in their first episodes, they said they were going to be reviewing campaigns, giving brutal critiques on artwork, in an effort to sort of raise the level a little bit, because there's a lot of crap out there. Let's be honest. There's a lot of bad art. Art is hard, okay, and we should all be trying as hard as we can. Hard art. So Jon Malin started Hard Art every Wednesday at 11 o'clock. And they haven't been doing too many of the brutal critiques. I remember in the first episode they were looking at active campaigns and talking about the artwork, talking about, the trailers, this and that, just, giving some real solid advice. Not everyone takes advice well, though. That's something that was brought up initially. People can get kind of butthurt over things. I got pretty thick skin, though, so I wanted in. I wanted the smoke. Right? So I had messaged Ethan Van Sciver here on one of his draw streams saying, hey, if I don't have an active campaign, could I still get, you guys to look at my comic book? And he said, yeah, just send it to one of us. I'm like, all right. So sent it to Jon Malin, and they were nice enough to get around to me this week. Let's just hit play and see what they say.
A guy on the interwebs. His name is Will. That's all his name says is Will.
That's me.
He sent me some pages and asked for a brutal critique on Hard Art. Wow. So I'm like, yeah, can do. You guys want to brutal critique him? Don't everyone jump at it.
Let's go. Yeah.
You can hear Shane sigh right away. Like, I'll admit, after having watched like the segment and knowing what they're trying to do with Hard Art, they might not be doing too many of these things. I'm lucky that I was the first one who was bold enough to go ahead and do this and try to get them to give me a brutal critique, because who knows if there's going to be much more of this.
I want to. I'm sick of it.
No. You guys don't want
to. No, I was a professor. I'm retired.
Yeah. Let's do it. If you're gonna take it down, bring it back up.
You guys seem pretty hesitant.
No, let's do it.
All right. Sure. I mean,
how many? Let's take this kid down a peg. Let's go.
Yeah.
Podcasting is, it's an interesting art form, and having been on that side of it, you want to keep the energy rolling. You know what I mean? You don't want to pump the brakes and be like, oh, let's do, we're, so much of Hard Art is them having fun together. Expecting them to do an art critique in the middle of it is a little bit odd. I see where Shane's coming from with that.
All right, here we are on the. We can zoom in, but
that's that's real nice.
Better than I would expect.
That's Auschwitz up there.
Thank you. I do some things really well. Obviously, I have work to do.
Very brutal.
Wait, how many pages did he send to you, John?
I don't know. There's like 4, 5, 6, something like that. We're only going to go over a couple because I got dreams too. Like wrapping the show up.
The storytelling's pretty. If
you wanted to send them to me, I could open them in Photoshop for you.
Thanks, Joe. I'm working on my storytelling. I'm trying to be a director over here.
Explain the stuff you're talking about. Your call.
No, we don't have time for me to send this stuff over. All right. Okay, I don't know. A guy on horseback comes into a castle area. It looks like people got the plague. They read that.
They were actually murdered, all of them. but that will be explained.
Teeny Howard book. Everybody died. He sees a rat. The rat looks at him. First thing I say is the rat kind of blends into the guy, because you got black on the tip of the rat nose, and you also have black on here. So these things kind of become one. So keep the blacks off of the rats, please.
There you go.
There you go. The blacks off the rats. Guys,
Little separation.
Great horse. Look at this horse head. That looks pretty nice.
Thank you. I love drawing animals, and I think I do pretty good horses. I need to, when I first started trying to draw comic books, I had like no blacks on the page, and that was one of my like the first critiques I ever got from anybody. Is like, you gotta have some blacks in there. It needs to be a black and white, image. So I've been trying to lean heavier on my but you're right. I need to it blends in with the mouse's nose right there, and that's no good.
That's a tricky angle too.
Yeah,
the art's pretty decent. I would say in the last panel, you might want to bring the rider up a little bit. I feel like his lower back is sinking into the horse where he would be sitting from where I can see.
Yeah, he's been compacted into the horse.
I was trying to think that his shoulder pads, like his armor under his cloak, would make his shoulders look bigger. And I was thinking the horse was going to be really big. I wanted to make all the animals larger for some reason, and I think I should go ahead and abandon that notion, and because it's like it activates like the uncanny valley a little bit, I think, in their heads, where it's like they just think it's wrong, and I guess because his head is still proportionate to his shoulders, like maybe if his head was smaller, then what I'm saying would make more sense. But it's not. So, yeah, I'm gonna reproportion that guy and put him a little higher up on the horse, and make the proportions more in line with like real life, and not try to make everything so fantastical, because it doesn't read right.
But he sits like me. I appreciate that, the gesture. He's hunched over. And...
Hey, maybe it's just bad posture. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh, story. I was like, what the hell? Billboard, story and art. Will Stenbeck. I was like, that's weird for a.
I wonder if this is really the first time John's even looking at these things. Like, he didn't even look at them in the message. He just like, oh, okay, I'll review it, and then he pulls it up. Like,
Billboard.
That's clever.
He's trying to work the credits page in there. It's kind of clever, but also kind of distracting, almost like he came into town just to read who drew the book.
Yeah.
I
just move the credits over here right next to Revenant Steel, small little stuff, and then put something here that's relevant to the story. That'd be nice.
Can you zoom in, like, say, to the first 2 panels or something like that?
Sure can, buddy.
Wow, look at that. Nice.
And I don't know if the tones are helping, but I don't know if the correct terminology, but there's something when you're doing line artwork, you gotta kind of get depth, shorthand. Like I've talked about Frank Quietly, how he did it backwards, where things become more detailed the further they go back, in All-Star Superman, and less detailed up front. You need to get a handle on that. Like, I can see that beautiful wood grain all the way back there, probably 40 feet, which is probably 40 feet away from that hand. Your level of detail on those boards back there are the same level as the hand. And
yeah, you're right. You're right on that. And, let's just keep listening.
You basically are losing any type of illusion of depth. And then the gray tones that you're putting in on top of it, you're over rendering everything. Like, the eye doesn't know where to focus.
The illusion is the key word there. That he said the illusion of depth. I got to keep in mind that I'm trying to trick the mind of the reader into thinking that he's looking at a scene and not a 2D surface, you know? So, focal distance is going to be important. And yeah, I have over-rendered the background, which I should look at that, you know, as a relief, because it's like, okay, I can put less pressure on myself to go in and make sure that we know what the towers are made of, you know, because I'm sitting here thinking when I'm drawing it, I'm like, I need to render everything. But that's not the case. I don't need to render that much, I guess.
On any panel.
You know, and this could just be a fantasy world. I mean, I don't know. That's a rat. I don't know. But maybe it's a fantasy world. Maybe it's like a Game of Thrones thing. But depending on where you are, I mean, there's like mountains. You know, I don't know if there's a lot of mountains in like in England, but maybe Transylvania. You know,
it's a new continent that's been discovered by like a Game of Thrones esque civilization. So it's a lot of things.
I don't know. Fantasy world. Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
And I've gone back because I've already kind of gone back and redrawn some things, or at least mapped out what I'm going to be redrawing about these panels. And I'm going to make those mountains look more exotic, more fantasy-esque. So I'm working on that. I want it to be obvious right away that we're in a fictional world. And I think that's a great way to do that.
Otherwise, yeah, the horse looks great. The guy looks kind of, I don't know. Is it an angle? Is it like we're at an upshot, I think, right? Yeah, because we're looking at the rat. So we're in an upshot. So the horse makes sense, but this guy's kind of straight on.
Yeah, it's a little off there.
I would separate those three figures too: the roof, the horse, the guy, or the four figures and the rat. Like the silhouette value there, everything's kind of buttoning up against each other, creating a lot of tangents. And I think if you kind of spread those out a little bit so that it'd be easier for the eye to see what each thing is.
Yep.
Well, the rat should overlap the guy and the horse should overlap the building. He's relying on those overlaps to kind of be depth, but the rendering is what's muddying it all together. Even the rat's nose kind of bleeds into the guy. John zoomed back out, but you can actually see the rat's nose. It's just the rendering. And the guy, they kind of bleed together, that little bit of too much rendering, too much black. And yeah, you know, the easiest remedy for this is an exercise where like the next drawing or batch of pages, come up with a couple of artists that you admire a lot and really, really, really try to draw exactly like them in your rendering. And you're going to figure out things that they're doing that make the drawing work and don't. And I'm talking about somebody you like their feathering or something like that. And really try to draw your page like they were drawing it. And you'll start to calibrate some of these things. And it's the quickest way to learn, you know, the use of negative space, gray tone, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's get to the next page in the sequence.
It's tough because going into this, you got to be kind of crazy to decide to make a comic book as an adult and to think that, oh, I'm going to make money off of this. And so early on, I'm like, no, I'm a genius. You know what I mean? And believe in myself and this, and, you know, like push. And I kind of got it in my head, like, I don't want to draw like other people. I want to draw like me. Like, I don't want to be copying another person's style. But then again, you know, looking at the way someone else does things, when you're drawing, when I'm drawing, I feel like I'm trying to solve problems. Like, I have a problem, like, how on earth do I render a ground? And so I come up with squiggly marks. And sometimes I feel like I really nail it, and I've come up with my own sort of method of doing things. But like Shane said, the quickest way to improve, and it's like, put your pride aside and improve. Get better and faster, and stop trying to prove that you're some unique genius. That's what I'm hearing. And maybe I need to hear that a little bit. I think I'm going to get, and I've thought about this a little bit, when I go back and I'm actually rendering the panels out, because I've already kind of gone back and reframed some things, like boxed out how that dude needs to look on the back of the horse, kind of separate him a little bit from the rat, but still maintain like some overlap with the bodies under the rat. I think it's going to look a lot better, thanks to these guys for their thoughtful feedback.
Sequence that he sent. It doesn't show him parking the horse, but I'm guessing he did. He walks inside of one of these.
I don't want to waste time, with these pages. I feel like a lot of times when I'm reading a comic book, if it's something I'm not like already invested in, when it's an indie book or whatever, if they have too drawn, like if they try to be too slow and cinematic, or you're gonna see him park the horse and you're gonna see him enter the thing and then this and that, I'm like, how do I get to the point? And so that's been one of the things I've been trying to keep in mind. So I'm glad Jon connected those dots without me having to say it. I hope that was actually some sort of compliment or just an acknowledgement that he understands what's going on, rather than him being like, hey, you should, subtly telling me that I should probably show this dude parking the horse and show more.
Taverns. Look, there's a wench in there. She's probably going to start a fight.
Wenches, tell you.
This page has the most problems in it. Which I'll just push play and we'll see.
Looking to women. And anyways, he walks in. These guys don't like him. Bartender might want to have sex with him.
You can see Ethan like with his hand on his face, like how can I make something interesting out of this content? Because art critiques, maybe they do just belong in the classroom. I shouldn't be bringing this to hard art, maybe.
No.
But they did invite it, I want to say. I think I remember.
Oh, yeah. I can see that. I can see that.
Here. And then we get a kind of downward shot here. All conversating.
Well, I'd tell you, some close-ups might be nice to help with the pacing and break this up a little bit. I feel like the camera angle is we're getting kind of all a very similar, pull away shot. Coming in a little bit closer, maybe
I think the best opportunity for that might be the third panel. At first I was thinking the second panel. Maybe it should be the second panel. Either the second or third panel, I think I'm gonna switch it up and make it more of a close-up shot.
Extreme far away pull out might help out with a little bit, make it a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
I think with panel 2, like as I'm looking at it now, he might have a small little bit of text that just goes right here. But if he's saying, anything significant, like up here is a natural spot to kind of put the word balloon. And the bear, as much as I love that bear's head, like a balloon going there or even over here, it's like they're not great spots for it. But as long as it's just a quip, then okay. But otherwise, think about where that word balloon's going to go. For him to say whatever he's got to say. Whatever he says, these guys don't like it.
People in the chat are saying they can't see it. They need you to zoom in. And a lot of that's got to do with what I was talking about before. The floors are competing with the wall versus the figures. Okay, so they're... All right, there we go.
Well, we got to learn perspective. I mean...
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
I gotta learn and relearn perspective, and I gotta actually apply it instead of just feeling it out. I'd like to just start drawing and not even worry about perspective grids, but that's I can't pull that off apparently.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate on that, or?
Well, I mean, the floor, like yeah, the perspective's all whacked out. I mean, I like the you can see the horizon line is right across their eye line there. Okay, but the floorboards, which are actually showing perspective, are not. I don't know where the vanishing point is. I don't know what's going on there. I guess I'd like the vanishing point to actually draw emphasis and direction towards one of these characters. Instead, the vanishing point seems to be on the wall in between the two men that are the bartender.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean that really kind of diverts my eye away from anything at all. I don't know what the bear head is doing on the wall. That's the biggest fucking bear I've ever seen in my life.
Massive bears, big, horrible bears. That's an adolescent, but yeah, he's putting his cursor right here where the horizon line is, basically. And yeah, so I guess I kind of did line up the floorboards with that horizon line, but it's not drawing the attention. So if I move the horizon line more like to the center of this dude's face or to his eyes, and that would adjust the perspective a little bit, and maybe that'll be cooler. I'm gonna try that out. I need to actually, you know, Ethan, a lot of his advice has to do with horizon lines, perspective, that sort of thing. You can tell his mind is already kind of there from like the beginning of the picture, of the drawing, and maybe I need to calibrate a little bit more like that, just to help, you know, because it's like when it seems like when he looks at a picture when the perspective's not right, it's like something in his mind like kind of breaks. He's like, you know, like he knows it instinctively.
Yeah, I thought about that, but this is probably
Fantasy,
some
like
Game
maybe
of Thrones.
that is a big bear. You got two people in the bar, and that's it. I mean, I know it's hard to draw a lot of people, but that's like it's an empty beer hall with a big floor with no tables, nothing. No patrons except for the two people, and then you got two.
I need to redesign the bar, and I might redraw a bunch of this panel. I'm gonna kind of have to, right? We'll see. We'll see how much of this gets redrawn, or if I could fix it with just redrawing some of it, some of the background.
A man and a woman over here. One's wearing a wife beater. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, the wife beater does seem
If I just add more people to the background and like some tables, if I fix the perspective on this and put the vanishing point behind his eyeball here, then I'm really only going to have to adjust like that right wall behind those two people. And then if I add more people behind them, or add something else, you know, it's tough because I'm sitting here like, if I'm drawing a modern bar, I could put an arcade machine over there or something, but this is like a medieval tavern. Is it just going to be more tables or what? Do I need to go to Shadiversity and watch a video on what sort of things did they have in medieval taverns? Does he even have a video like that? Someone must, right? Someone must have. Or maybe I just need to watch Lord of the Rings for the millionth time and pause those prancing pony scenes and really like look, or, you know, like Shane was saying, like I'll pull up Berserk. They definitely had taverns and stuff in Berserk. I'll see what Miura did.
out of place for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And thing I saw was on this door. I don't know. Maybe again, it's a fantasy
Yeah, that swinging door sucks. You're right.
world, but like for swinging doors, like I don't know, is that too high? I don't know. I think of like a Western.
that's one of those things where it's like I wanted to have an entrance to the kitchen, like a back door back there, because one of the characters is going to go that way here in a few pages. But I should redesign the door. It looks dumb. The lines on it look dumb. Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's okay, because maybe you need a swinging door with some privacy, maybe, for a kitchen, I guess, but whatever.
John, I would hide behind that swinging door with no pants on, so people would have to look at my dick, but they wouldn't know it was me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'd come back out with my pants on and be like, what happened? Oh, some jerk showed his dick. That's weird. Who was that?
Yeah. I will compliment. Shane doesn't want to say anything nice about anything, but I will say, hey, I like the little, little gesture here, little facial expression, and here he's still angry, looking over. He's hunched over, sitting like me.
I do feel like I do expressions pretty good. I try to. Sometimes you read a comic book and everyone's like, and you can tell the artist has a hard time communicating emotions or drawing mouths in more than like two positions, so I kind of want to, I'll definitely be showing off a little bit with my facial expressions, especially when the battle commences. It's going to be a lot of fun drawing people.
Appreciate that. Good job. Looks good. And then we get the pull out shot. And we do see there are some extra tables back there. These look like restaurant booths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. They look like he's at a Chuck E. Cheese, not a Chuck E. Cheese.
Fridays, TGI.
Friday.
I was trying to think like new construction, old methods, because this is supposed to be like a newly discovered continent in a Game of Thrones-esque world, right? So sort of right before they discovered like gunpowder, and that's going to be something that happens in this story, because there's going to be advances in war technology when you're fighting thralls, where the only way to kill them is for fire to reach their heart. So
Yeah.
it ended up looking cheap. They write. It ended up looking kind of cheap, like an Applebee's or something. Yeah, like there's little odd things about my art that I kind of make peace with when I'm drawing it, and then somebody's got, the truth can help you or hurt you. And I want it to help me out here.
Applebee's.
To Tony Roma's.
And on that perspective, this chair looks like it's off.
It's a poorly constructed chair. That's all it. Anything like that, I chalk up to poor craftsmanship. But you're right. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like that. I was trying to make the chairs look like they weren't perfectly in a row, and they ended up just looking bad, especially those two in the middle, because those are the two that are kind of cocked a little bit. Maybe I should pull one out. Maybe I should just put more people at the bar, like Ethan was saying. I should add like 5 or 6 more people, maybe some non-combatants to this bar tavern area. I've already added like a poker table in the back, and I've changed the perspective a little bit, because I'm basically redrawing this whole panel. And it's going to be a slightly tighter shot, and they won't all be standing so far away from each other.
It just
John.
right
It's not that the chair just looks off. It's that there's a series of tiny little elves that are standing there watching them in the corner. Some little tiny elves. It's interesting, oh hey, it's like Mike S. Miller style.
Yeah.
Individuals.
Yeah.
I know the idea is that the distance is making them smaller, but there is no distance like that.
I wonder if I could just fix, like, instead of redrawing the whole thing, I wonder if I could fix it by just making all those people on the left side bigger. Like, is that all I need to do? If I make them bigger and I add like 5 or 6 more people and I fix the stools, will I have fixed the panel? I'll look at that.
From there to there.
Yeah, because if this guy's still
That'll be an experiment I do here after I wrap this video up.
up, he's hitting right here, and if we follow a line all the way down, we'd be at right here.
Yeah, and it's hard, man. It is hard to draw. I
Well,
got it, but it's not that fucking hard.
Their heads actually do line up with his in height, except he's sitting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
what in this panel?
He's saying with the sitting guy here.
In perspective, there.
Well, actually, if you follow that
What are
line
you
back,
talking
though, it's
about?
still-
I get what he's talking about.
The horizon line is way up there. Shane, the horizon line is way up.
I'm going to say something I didn't say. I'm saying it's off. I'm saying
it's way off.
Yes.
These people are standing in various planes, Shane, and they're like,
yes, and he's sitting. He's not standing. That's what I was saying. It's really.
You want me to kick Shane, Ethan?
I do.
Don't kick Shane. Shane's great. Come on.
I'll kick him.
Because he's giving bad direction.
I'll leave. It's fine.
No, Shane, don't.
You got the horizon line way up there, and the way to determine, that these people are all standing on the same plane.
I can imagine Shane turning his camera off and just being like, ugh. Like, can we go back to just watching funny shit? Instead of critiquing this dude? Thank you, though, for critiquing me. I appreciate all of the advice. And Shane gives some great advice on, what to study, this and that.
That they're roughly the same height, is that the number of heads, let's just say the horizon line was at the top of the panel line, which it is not. Then what you would want to do is you'd want to say, okay, so the guy in the foreground is how many heads beneath the horizon line?
You're right, though. It's not at the top of the panel, and I thought about this the first time that I watched this critique when I was watching it live, and I was hearing you talk about perspective. I'm getting the feeling like when Ethan thinks of a panel, one of the first things he's thinking about is the perspective and making it make sense, right? And that's something I might really need to adjust to, because my approach has been draw what you feel, and then I'll put in, because I'm doing this digitally, I'll drop in a perspective grid to try and make it make sense, So I drew the bar and kind of where I wanted everyone to stand, and then I dropped in a perspective grid and moved the dots around to line up with what I had already drawn, when I should probably instead think about that initially, and be like, okay, I want the perspective line to be here, I want to be looking at this angle, and then map it out and then go. That's probably a better approach. I'd probably end up with a better final result. Proper planning and all that.
1, 2, 3. All right. So let's just say it's 1, 2. Maybe it's more than that. It might be 4.
Wait, the sitting guy?
No, the guy in the foreground here with the
here?
Yeah, with the rat tail. So he's 4 heads down from the horizon line, which would mean that everybody who is his similar height would need to be 4 of their heads down from the horizon line. Do you see that? Do you see how this guy is about 2 heads over the little Twinkie elf? This guy's about 1.5 heads. This woman is 16 heads from the. You understand? That's why the perspective is all warped. In order for them to be related to each other, standing on the same plane in a situation where the horizon line is above, our head, the character's eye line. That's how you have to do it. You have to just make sure that they're all sort of still in relation to that horizon line, and measuring their heads is a good way to do that.
Yeah, and I've got that excuse me, that panel open in Photoshop. If you want me to show it,
Okay.
your call.
We got 10
So,
minutes.
and I also
All
put
right,
a
but
link.
we don't have a whole lot of
yeah.
time, so if you've done anything, let's see it. So,
Oh no, I haven't done anything to it. I was going to sketch into it, but we don't have time. That's fine.
okay, yeah, because I want to get to one more page.
Let's get the super chats.
Do
Yeah,
them
go
a
ahead.
solid.
Go ahead.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate you doing me a solid there.
So, hold on.
And by the way, before we go, I have created, at the end of every show, I will show you that I have created a new character based on the show, based on what happened in the show, a new comic book character that would be ahead.
All right.
Now, there's part of me when he said that, I'm like, is he gonna? Is my segment in this show gonna have anything to do with that? But no.
All right. Last page from this
That's kind
guy.
of cool. I like that.
Thank you.
Pile of bodies, rat going into a zombie mouth. That's kind of cool. Let's see the zombies here. Rat.
So once again, the first page that I conceptualize for these stories, because that's kind of how my writing start. I want to have a nice, cool visual hook for the reader, and I want it to happen soon. So I came up with this page of the zombie rising up. They're all being eaten alive by not alive, dead. Their bodies are being eaten by rats before they're resurrected, right? Because they are now enthralled to this demonic entity. But nice positive reactions to this page.
Rat crawling in.
I like that.
Oh, it's eating his nuts, dude.
Oh,
Look
shit, it is.
Shit.
Oh,
Eating his
going
guts
right for the
here.
taint.
It's kind of cool. I don't know. Looks a little, I don't know, maybe berserk, I guess. I don't know.
I love Berserk. Berserk was a huge inspiration for me coming up with this story, because I love Berserk. There were two driving factors for this story. I came up with most of it after season 8 of Game of Thrones ended because I hated it so much, and I wanted to make my own. I'm like, I could definitely do this better. At least the war between the living and the dead. I wanted to do my own version of that. And then I wanted it to feel like Berserk, or at least like with the brutal fight scenes and stuff like that. Hardcore visuals. I need to add more rats. I've already kind of marked like where I want to add even more rats to that image up top, and maybe some birds or something. I need to add like John brings up foliage or whatever. Like I could do more.
Let's see.
I can do more than squiggles for the ground,
Then this thing coming out of or into his mouth, going
Looks
into
like
his
what
mouth.
Anna sent me this morning. Honestly.
oh,
Yeah. I like all three of these
Thank you, John.
actually.
I spent the top panel obviously took the most amount of time.
Let me zoom out so we can see it one more time.
Yeah, I think maybe just a little over rendering in certain spots, but overall, this is probably my favorite page.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know what is surrounding. Looks like there's a little brick something. I guess I don't know if without.
I need to redo the background on that third page because I drew it before I had drawn anything else, and so I designed the wall and stuff. It would make more sense for you to see a building closer to those guys, since I ended up putting the pile on the way into town, basically, within the gate. Yeah, I should put a building around those guys.
Without knowing what happened before, how big of an empty field are we having here, or can we get some brick wall in there so we can marry it up to this
Yeah, you're right.
one? Or I think these are trees here.
Yeah, looks like the
So
silhouette.
maybe
of
we had a
forest.
little something in the foreground, just a little tree, a couple, a handful of leaves coming out, like we're looking through the trees coming down.
Wouldn't they clear all the trees though? If they're building a settlement, that was my thinking. But trees are hard to remove too, so maybe I should rethink that. Maybe I should put a couple of trees in the sort of town square area.
Oh yeah.
That might look okay, but and then this, I wish this was actually just kind of done with a pen.
I'm with you on that, John. And I was having a hard time making it look good with a pen, and I feel like I was cutting a corner with the gray tones there. But people have been telling me that they like it. Like, people are telling me that I should just go ahead and keep it like that instead of stressing myself out. But they're encouraging me to take the easy route, and the best thing to do is probably the hardest thing to do, and that's to figure it out. Maybe like Shane said, I need to go and look at how other people draw clouds. The fact that I wanted everything to be perpetually overcast on this continent for story reasons, I can't do what a lot of people do for clouds. I've practiced, I've drawn clouds before where it's like, okay, 50% cloud coverage or 30% cloud. Like, if it's just a 20% cloud coverage and I'm drawing a cumulonimbus, I feel like that's something I could do. But if it's just a blanket of gray, right? For some reason, and I just kind of gotta work out some like flowy line work. There's an answer. I just need to find it.
Make that swirling motion, just draw it instead of it being this kind of painterly thing. Because I don't know, maybe it's a manga thing. Maybe it's a new kid thing I don't get.
Is that zombie being...
The only manga I read is One Piece at this point. I stopped reading Berserk after Miura died, and it had already like slowed down to like one release every 6 to 8 months or longer with towards the end with him. So I might go back to that one once they wrap up the whole series, just to see how his assistants decide to end it. But I haven't read any. Like, I tried to get into Jujutsu Kaisen, I wasn't into it. I tried to get into Demon Slayer, I wasn't into it. I feel like One Piece is something I've been reading for 20 years at this point. So it's just part of my weekly routine where I read the new One Piece. And I'm still really enjoying the series. But yeah, man, I don't know any newfangled anything.
And brought up to that thing, like, is it being resurrected? Is that what we're seeing here, or is it just rising?
Well, he is raising up. So
is that like some kind of magic or something that's pulling the...
No, that's just me being a bad artist, because I was trying to... And that is kind of a manga thing that I noticed like Oda doing, where you'll see like a little silhouette of white around the foreground figures to kind of separate them from the background, but it doesn't work here at all, and I don't really even know how to do it. That's not even really how it looks. Like, looking at it again, it's been a while since I like looked at this page closely, and no one else really brought that up as being like an issue. But now, yeah, I need to eliminate that halo, or make it mean something. Maybe just put it a little bit of a wispiness around his body where the miasma might be kind of like coming out of him.
Because his eye is kind of shining in the panel beforehand, because I was wondering about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to...
Yeah, the thralls, their eyes glow.
See what the...
Like the undead race in World of Warcraft.
The script is and everything, to see if that's what's going on. Like,
no, I think that's what's going on, because he's lifting up. Yeah.
So he's facing.
So if I put more like miasma coming off of him a little bit, that could make for a better. Like, I could put a little bit around his forearm here in the foreground, and that could be a really cool addition.
That swirl in the sky.
Yeah, the swirl is pulling him up or something. Oh, and that this is a little bit of energy coming off him. See, there's like a glow.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in a little bit different perspective, if that's the case.
Yeah.
I would just get his head off this border, though. try
Yeah.
to get everything in the panel there. Just why not? He's so close to being just cut.
Yeah, if I bring him in a little bit and then put a building in the background like I was thinking, especially if I could put the building at kind of like a cool angle.
You don't need it. Keep the silhouettes in the panel, the outlines as best you can. Otherwise, yeah, good luck with that project. Will, he said he was going to be launching, let's see. He wanted to start his campaign soon. We'll take any feedback he can get. He's working on page 6 now. Nothing is lettered yet. It would be an honor to have you and the guys look over my work. All right, well, there you go.
Beautiful.
Not too bad. Just go in there, fix your perspective on that one panel for sure.
Yeah, I like
and otherwise, everything was kind of minor-ish.
Not too bad, I think, is a big win for me. This is good. Not too bad.
Again, it was something that helped me out early on. Is if you look up Leonardo's like a linear perspective technique, it's just like you're basically going to grid everything out. And
Leonardo's linear perspective technique. I feel like I understand that without doing any research. Just from what you said, that sentence kind of lays it out for me a little bit. I need to study though. I need to not have so much faith in my my intuition. Try to, it's kind of funny how I can at the same time as acknowledging that I'm a self-taught artist and I didn't like go to school for it or anything, and kind of using that as a shield against some criticism, I can also be like, oh, but I'm too good to study. I need to get over that. Getting better at art can be a personal journey of, self-discovery and improvement.
And that way you can see like how big those figures need to go in perspective. And, I don't know whose drawing book it was, but there was a head layout of how many figurehead sizes you want in proportion guide. I can never remember what famous art book that came from, but do get a grasp on how many head high, like what Ethan was saying, you measure the body by the size of the head. So there's two weird things there you have to wrestle with.
Rashimataro for 2, did Shane just say he wrote that joke last week?
Yeah. No, but I didn't, guys. I didn't.
Real quick, Sean wanted to do a little promotion for something other than his project, and with this, I agree. Look, we need to get any eyes we can on Tom Tuttle's
Sundown
book.
Coming soon. Tom Tuttle is the writer on this. I believe somebody else drew it, and he's up to 9,500. Tom seems like he's a cool guy. He seems like a fun guy to be around. He's always wearing his like Elvis shades. I think I might have met him in Baltimore. But I met a bunch of people.
7
nice.
Amens before sundown.
Closes Friday, so
Oh, really? This Friday?
yeah,
Huh?
closes Friday, so you got a couple more days. But get on this. Westerns are great. Why not get this Western comic book? And it looks
It's
fantastic.
cowboys and vampires. So a guy goes into town, clops into town.
He's got cowboys and vampires. I got knights and thralls.
There and discovers a town filled with vampires, and he's gonna have to probably shoot his way out, which I appreciate. I think this is gonna be an actual really good read. I don't know. I just feel like Tom Tuttle is gonna fucking do some shit, and we're gonna say fuck, and I'm gonna have to worry about whether or not I'm gonna be writer of the year next year.
Watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great, man. I'm looking
hopefully
forward to this one.
So hopefully this is delayed by a couple of years, so
He's
I can
very
still...
literate. No, I think it's going to be done on time. It's good.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. I like, and you can see that, contrasting how much my over rendering versus this rendering, where, this guy just put a couple of squiggles there along the edge of the board, and there you go. It's wood. You don't need to sit there and put a million marks on it. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, go be checking out 7 Amens before.
Now, that being said, I think that there are a couple of things that I do a little bit better than this person. but they're obviously a very polished artist.
Sundown before Saturday because it'll end Friday.
Yeah, ends Friday, guys. Get it
All right,
now.
beautiful.
John,
Shane, you
here's
want to
my-
pull up a project? Oh, go ahead, Ethan. What do you got?
Here's
Shane,
my
pull up a
character that I created during the show, based on talking about a Murnau retrospective. I think I created
nice.
Retrospector, yesterday's ghost. Real quick here, there he is. He's saying,
"Lies the shadows of yesterday's choices. No regret shall go unanswered."
When you say I created this, you mean you prompted AI for it, obviously. It's like a specter.
now that's how you create a character real quick, John. Retrospector, the ghost of yesterday. And he
Clever.
would be like, he would see the past and he'd want to correct the future based on the past. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Sort of like my life. Wait, what?
Do we lose?
That's nice. Well, dude, they devoted a solid 20 minutes to my artwork. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna be going through. I'm gonna be. I feel like I'm gonna level up big time after this. This is how you really level up. Okay, I was working. I got infected with this idea that I need to make a comic book 10 plus years ago. And I've been trying to make it happen. But not getting any feedback, not doing any of that stuff. And now, the past year, I've been doing that. I joined the How to Draw Comics Academy. I got some feedback there. I'm getting, every time I get feedback, I feel like there's a big jump. So this is very useful. I appreciate everything that everybody said and all the wonderful advice. And hey, go watch Hard Art. Go back 7 amens before sundown. I'm pretty sure everyone who watches my videos already knows all about Comicsgate, and we're out here swinging. We're out here trying to make some good entertainment for everybody. I'm going to be trying to build my channel, doing more entertainment videos. I'm going to be... Man, here I am droning on. It's because I have no idea how to actually end the goddamn stream. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope maybe you learned something while I was learning something. Let's try to go out there and be great.